is sort of the tutorial. That tightened dough, the top of the dough, what I like to do is I like to manually move it to the edge of the table or whatever, and then I'll get kind of underneath it and I'll flip it over so the top rotates and it's laying top side down in here. Light dusting of flour, throw it in a bag. If you plan on baking that day, great. Fire up your oven as hot as it can possibly go. Get a nice big pan, like something you cook a turkey in, like a big pan of water. Fill it up by at least 2 inches, I'll say. Let it heat up. I like to use this baking steel right here. When I'm ready to bake, I'll put a piece of parchment on here. This is at like a 525 degree oven that's been preheating for about 40 minutes to an hour. I'll just make sure that the sides will lift here because the dough's been sitting in this banneton, right? This is going to absorb some moisture, so it might be a little sticky. Some people like to flour the insides of these before the dough goes in. And then all I'm going to do is literally just dump it on top of the parchment that's on top of this baking steel. At that point, we're going to take our lame. It's spelled lame, like a lot of you, L-A-M-E. And you're going to slice this on a slight diagonal across the length of the dough. Some people like describing the angle of slice is you put a key in a lock and then you turn the key like 45 degrees and that's the angle you want to go. You almost want to be like slightly underneath the surface. Don't worry about that, that'll come in time. This is going to be in the oven for about, when it's in the oven, again, this is at the highest temperature, reset your oven to 450 and let this bake. Don't open the oven. Okay, I can't stress that enough. That water's in there to create steam. That slice that you just made is supposed to help that dough bloom, and that steam that's in the oven is going to keep it wet. Remember how this whole time we're trying to keep it from drying out? We want the surface wet so it's allowed to expand. And that's why you'll get like those tiny little bubbles that look really pretty, is because everything's been wet enough. It'll probably be in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. It'll be like a really dark burnished brown, almost like an old, this is like the loudest truck on planet Earth right now. It'll almost be like an old burnished leather glove from the 60s, or like a cigar chair. Think of something like that. It'll be that color. Take it out and lean it up against something like this. Don't let it sit on its bottom like this, because this is all going to get congealed and kind of wet. If you listen closely, you'll hear like these little minute cracks, like literally like snap, crackle, pop. That's a really good thing. That means you've done a good job. If not, don't worry about it. In my experience, when this dough has been sitting for a long time, your first couple loaves are going to be a little pale. They're not going to look super pretty, but they will be delicious. Let it sit for about an hour. I know that's the hardest part. Let it sit for an hour, get a serrated blade, and then, obviously try some. And then when your, whatever your exposed edge is, say you have a loaf of bread right here, and you cut this part off, store the bread like this, counter down, cut side down. It'll maintain the freshness a little bit. So that's generally everything. I'll try and take a bunch of video that shows you all the little steps, and we'll see how this looks in the final cut. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments, or you can just message me. All right, thank you.